Went silent again.
Are you kidding?
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Daily Whatever Show. Lawrence, I can't hear you again.
Welcome to the Daily Whatever
Can you
Show.
hear me?
Yay. I can hear you.
Why does this keep happening? Bye.
This is going
Oh,
to be our
God, I
new
love
morning
technology
tradition, folks.
sometimes.
We
It
will kick off the
is
show. Dana
the
will lose me on
best.
audio and then have to rejoin. Thank you, StreamYard, for making things extra complicated. Well, good morning, everyone. We're delighted that you're here. We are really excited and honored. We've got Dissent. You may recognize her handle as Dissent in Bloom. She's joining us today, and we're gonna have bring her on screen here in just a couple minutes. Hopefully, Dana, you can hear me now.
I can. That's the third time, so this is now a habit.
I said to the chat, I was like, this is our new morning tradition.
I hop
We
on, I say
launched. Dana
hello.
loses audio and has to rejoin.
That doesn't make sense. This is what confounds me about technology. It confounds me about AI. Like the robots should be consistent.
Yeah, it really does not make sense at all, and is super annoying because it throws us off our game. Like we've got a whole shtick, we've got a whole thing that we like to
That's
do
my
when
best
we
friend.
right. That's my best friend.
That's my best friend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's super annoying that we have to do this accommodation. I don't know if it's Substack or StreamYard. I mean, we're in StreamYard, so it's probably StreamYard, but I don't know.
Right? Is it me?
The
Is it
audience
something
doesn't care.
good? It's just this funny pop in, pop out that I'm not wild about. But enough about that. Lawrence, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling better. I was not feeling
Good.
great yesterday, folks, and so I took part of the day to nap a little bit, which of course I couldn't just nap, and ended up doing some work anyway. Um,
Oh,
but
Lawrence.
I'm better today, and
Good.
as we were chatting with Dissent before we started, she said, "As good as I could be, as good as I can be, considering." And I feel like we're all in that place right now. Like I'm fine. I'm as fine as I can be as I watch American democracy literally get murdered in the streets by the new Gestapo.
Yeah, that's not my favorite either.
Yeah,
To
of all
say
the
the
eras
very
we could enter, not my favorite era.
right. Um, yeah, no. 0 out of 10, two thumbs down, do not recommend this
Right, do
moment
not
in
recommend.
American history. There were some really interesting news announcements yesterday that sort of seemed optimistic or at least not catastrophic, which maybe I just take as optimism. Around the Minnesota governor race, around I read that Trump and Walz had a very nice phone call. Like this was in legacy media. I can't remember which site now, maybe the New York Times.
Hmm.
But if they're letting language like that out, like they seem to be with, and then Jacob Frey, the mayor, is saying that like it seems that they are starting to withdraw from Minnesota. The troops, the whatever you want to call them, the invasion. Have you seen these signs too, Lawrence? And is there reason to be optimistic, or is this just them being like, all right, we're gonna go punch a different city next?
I mean, they did apparently kick out Bovino, right? So that's a
Mm,
big deal.
I forgot to even mention that.
Um, there are consequences of a
Yeah,
kind,
yeah,
and that's good. Because currently we've been living in a world where it seemed like the Trump administration suffered no consequences for every act of
right?
evil and depravity that they could possibly imagine. So good for
Yeah,
that. Um, you know, uh, People are talking about what it means that Tom Homan is now going to be in charge. I mean, he's a dick and he's a scam artist. He, was literally caught on FBI tape taking a $50,000 bribe. So, our friend Matt McNeil made a joke yesterday on his show that maybe Minneapolis just needs to like put a GoFundMe together and raise 50 grand in cash and stuff it into a Qdoba or Chipotle bag or whatever it was and hand it to Tom Homan and see if that's enough to get him out of there.
oh my
Um,
God.
yeah, we've got folks in the chat basically saying like, um, Homan is not an upgrade. This is not like they
Bowman is not an upgrade.
replaced a bad person with a good person. This is like they replaced a really shitty person with an equally shitty person. He's
Right.
slightly different kinds of shitty, maybe, but
Right. Is this going to make
great.
it more right? Is this going to make it more likely that the funding goes through at the end of the month because they're like, we made a change. We
Yeah,
fired that
that's I
guy.
think the big concern, right? That
Yeah.
if we are as people opposed to this regime, regardless of Democrat or Republican or independent or whatever, if you
Hmm.
want to change and were encouraged that Schumer and the Democrats were going to stand up and withhold the
Yeah.
DHS funding out of the bill, then um, they still need to do that. They still need to, actually stand up and make some changes, ensure that
Yeah.
Operation Metro Surge or whatever the hell it's called actually ends, and that people, that ICE withdraws from Minneapolis, that they tell us what their rules of engagement are, so it's not a fucking mystery. That they actually use the body cams that they currently have, in addition to getting more body cams. That they don't
Yeah.
bring weapons on immigration enforcements. If they need people
Right.
with weapons, maybe they could work with the local police. How about that? Like
As
all
per
of
your
these
article,
things need to
Lawrence, right?
happen. Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries need to stand up and be more forceful. They should be there on the ground in Minneapolis. Why is the most
Yes.
prominent elected Democrat in the country, Chuck Schumer,
Not there.
not on the ground in Minneapolis saying this is a national problem? Like,
Hold
nationalize
on.
this.
Can I do something?
Yeah. Yeah, I know, right?
You want
Um,
Hakeem Jeffries to be forceful and you want Chuck Schumer on the ground?
right. Yeah. The most
Huh.
Hakeem Jeffries is going to do is come up with a clever rhyme about the whole thing.
This is
Um,
bad. It makes me sad and
right.
also mad, but not
Yeah.
glad.
Yeah. Thanks, Hakeem. That's
Yeah,
great.
I've got you. Yeah. Um,
I think we
I
should
I think we should bring Dissent
we
on,
should
Lawrence.
bring Dissent in. Yeah. Like,
Yeah,
we're
I
starting
love
to get
saying
off on
that.
our topics, and we
Yeah.
want to hear what she has to say. Dissent, welcome to the conversation.
Good
Thanks.
morning,
Good
Good
Dissent.
morning.
morning.
I love saying let's bring Dissent in as if we're not dissenting. But um
It's so funny. I came up with this name last year because I'm just like, what is a good word for what I want to do online? And looking through the dictionary, I saw to sit. I'm like, well, how can I girlify it? And that's how In Bloom came along.
right, I noticed you are no longer going by Dissent in Bloom in your handle. It is simply Dissent. Let's well, first of all, have you introduce yourself to everyone. I don't know how much introduction you really need. You're pretty famous around these parts, but
Am
tell everybody a bit.
I?
Yeah, you
Girl,
are.
yes. Come
Girl,
on.
yes.
Your
Um,
Dissent. People know who you are.
yes. Tell us a
I,
bit about who you are and why you changed your name.
So I changed my handle to just Dissent because I do multiple projects, and Dissent and Bloom is my newsletter. But I want to exist outside of my newsletter so that if I'm like, for example, and not necessarily this show, but let's say I go on another show, I don't necessarily want to say it's my newsletter on the show. I want it to just be me. So that was
Mhm.
my way of like separating
Yeah.
myself from my handle, but also still being myself. And then, so for anyone that doesn't know me, I am a writer over on Substack. I also sometimes go on YouTube, but not very often. And I have been covering everything from just the authoritarianism to the immigration raids to deep dives. I've done investigations into elections. Gosh, I do so much stuff. You are always welcome to go and check it out. And I'm always willing to talk with anyone if they ever have any questions.
Yes. Your writing is powerful. It's well researched, and it's also beautiful. Like
Mhm.
as two writers, like AP English nerds, essayists to another,
Guilty.
y- your writing is inspiring as a craft, in addition to being inspiring politically. And
Thanks.
and it's your side project. You save lives through
Right.
your
I
job.
know. I was going to say, and she has a full-time job as an ICU nurse.
Recently,
Right?
I just recently left that job not that long ago, but it was something I've done for a very long time. I just recently changed to outpatient just for a different pace. But yes, I was an ICU nurse for several years.
Yeah.
Phew, I can't even imagine the stress and rigor of that job. And I I have seen ICU nurses when I've known folks in the hospital. My fun fact is I used to be a medical speech pathologist. That was my first career out of grad school. So I worked with nurses all day, every day. And y'all are saints. You all should be given all the money, all the benefits, all the flowers.
I wish that was true, but then we see that's not true because what happens in like the New York nurses strike that's been going on. Like that's just one example of the many nurses were already mistreated before Alex got murdered in the streets, sadly.
Yes.
I was going to say, I can't imagine a little bit what you go through because you wrote about it so eloquently and beautifully in the tribute that you wrote to Alex Preddy. And if folks haven't read it, please go read it.
Yeah, I think
Dissent
Karen
makes
has put the link in the chat.
Case that all nurses are kin, and that we have done a grievous wrong, and been done a grievous wrong by watching that man be murdered in the streets. That nurses should be protected. That we should all be protecting them because they're the ones that protect us at the moments in our lives when we need them most.
See, there's a reason that nurses have been for decades, we have been considered the most trusted profession.
Yeah, right. I mean, as you say in the piece, there's that beautiful quote of, you're there at the opening of the eyes of babies and there at the gentle closing of eyes at the end, right? At the moment of death. Like, you're literally seeing the entire span of human existence in your job on a daily basis. And that's,
and it's so interesting because that's actually kind of how I've recently changed. Like I was an ICU nurse, but now I actually work in OBGYN. Nice. So I've literally seen people at their worst and at their deathbeds, and now I'm literally seeing people brought into this world. And that's just how nursing is, because it's so complex and you can do so many different things. But the heart of nursing really is, you just care about other people and you want to do better for people and do better for the world. I've always been a highly empathetic person, so nursing just made sense to me. And it's just sad because nursing is often exploited by capitalism, but that's a whole other subject.
Well, actually, I kind of wanted to get into that subject because you brought up something that I didn't know about until literally 2 seconds ago when you mentioned it. I guess there's a New York strike or nursing strike or negotiation.
Yeah, I haven't looked into it in the last few days just because of everything that's been going on in Minnesota. But yeah, there was a large nurses strike. It was on day 2 the last time I checked, just because they want better working conditions. Nurses often work with, I'm not sure what specifically they were requesting. So like I said, I've been so swamped with the Minnesota stuff. I just caught it briefly. But in general, usually nurses want better staffing. That's usually number one. They've been progressively cutting our staffing for years. And then when COVID came along, they were like, oh, it's, COVID ratios, it's a crisis. It's going to get better, but then it never got better. They realized they could get away with having less staff and paying less money. Mm-hmm. But, more nurse work for the nurses. And but not so fun fact, each additional patient that a nurse takes increases your risk of mortality or permanent disability or injury by 7%.
The nurse's risk?
No, the patient's risk.
Oh, the patient's risk.
Yeah. You have a 7%. Mm-hmm, because they're stretched so thin, because realistically, we would love to be superheroes. We'd love to go and we have everything on it, 100% all the time. But the expectations are unrealistic. And it's until you actually go in and I think you work as a nurse, it's hard to understand just exactly how much nurses are responsible for. I remember being a CNA many years ago and thinking, oh, those nurses are so lazy. And so I realized how much we have to document and actually do.
Mm-hmm. So basically, if I'm being taken care of by a nurse who has 3 more patients than they would have traditionally had, I'm at a 21% higher chance of my own mortality because that nurse is being overworked.
Yes, and I can actually find you the study and send it to you if you want to look at it yourself. I have it somewhere in my computer because I've written a paper
I would
on
love to read that. Not because I don't believe you, but because it's fueling yet another outrage, Right?
I would love to elevate that story. I mean,
we should make that known because I'm sure it's not just 3 patients more, right? I'm sure it's 10 patients more, and they're figuring out.
Like in nursing homes, those nurses will run with 20 patients or 30 patients on their own. Usually that's like an LPN. Typically nursing homes don't only have one registered nurse, and not to say LPNs aren't capable, but it's just a lot for their scope of practice. even a lot for anyone, honestly. And then like inpatient, I worked in the ICU, and typically we're not supposed to go over like I work step down and I work ICU, and then ICU you're not supposed to go over 3, and then step down you're not supposed to go over 3 to 4 realistically. A lot of times on step down they'd have you with 5 to 6 patients with medication, so it had to be titrated, which means changed every 30 minutes. Like if you're on a medication called like cardizem because of like an acute cardiac issue, we have to change that every 30 minutes, just depending on your heart rate. Or if you're on nitroglycerin, that's literally every 5 minutes, and you will have 5 of these patients, 6 of them sometimes. And that's just not realistic. That's why your chances of mortality increase significantly.
Right. That's literally not possible. There aren't enough minutes in an hour to make sure that you could take care of all those patients at once. That's crazy.
And then they'll say like, oh, just ask your charge nurse for help. But a lot of times your charge nurse is just swamped because she'll have an assignment too.
Right. Right. And I'm sure the charge nurse, several people are probably reporting to the charge nurse, and so they can't just pick up everybody's slot. Oh my God. Yeah. Like it makes me.
I see that there's an NYC, like if I just Googled nurses strike and Kaiser Permanente, New York City nurses strike from 2 hours ago. It says it's on day 16.
Wow. So yeah, it's been a while since I've read about it. I'm actually really impressed that they've made it this far. I'm really am, because they mean business. That's amazing. We need to see more of that.
I see in the Brooklyn Eagle, progress on nurses strike as Mount Sinai NYP agree to keep health plans. So they're making some progress. And then I also see on Truth Out that US's largest nurses union demands abolition of ICE after Alex Preddy killing. So you are not the only nurse getting political.
Yeah, it's so funny because people say that nursing isn't political, but nursing is inherently political.
God.
Absolutely.
It's one of the core things we learn about taking care of a person is just to be holistic and care for people. And it's not political in the sense that I'm not going to treat you. I'm not going to go and like when I'm triaging you, I'm not going to say, hey, are you a Democrat or Republican, and treat you any different. I'm going to save your life no matter what at the end of the day. You could be someone with a giant enormous swastika on your chest and I would still save you because that's the code of ethics we agreed to. Like we don't judge you for that. I mean, I might judge you outside of work, but I'm not going to mistreat you as a person because of your beliefs. And I've even had people come on my page and say like, oh, nurses should refuse to treat people. Like that's just not, two wrongs don't make a right.
That's not the culture we want to live in.
You know, we agreed to a moral oath. It's not the Hippocratic oath because that's what, that's for doctors, but nurses agree to like ethically to do no harm as well. And that applies to anyone. Like it doesn't matter if I like you or not. I'm not going to let you die.
Right. But you mean it's inherently political because as a nurse, you're observing that people who get holistically cared for, people who are treated for their root cause, and I mean, I'm kind of putting words into your mouth here. I'm making a statement to see if you agree, if I'm getting you right. What you're saying is maybe that like you're seeing root causes, right? You're seeing the connections, and so that kind of makes you political because you want a certain kind of care.
Exactly what it is, because we see the whole story. We see the patient that can't afford their insulin, and because of that, they've came in like diabetic ketoacidosis. We see the patient that can't afford their heart failure meds, so they come in severely bloated with fluid because they aren't taking their diuretics. Like we see firsthand the cost, like how the cost of healthcare, the cost of medications, the cost of living, and just trying to survive every single day affects people. Like a lot of people don't realize politics isn't just I don't like your guy, you don't like mine. It's literally in everything we do every single day.
Yeah.
And nursing is just inherently political because my patients' well-being, how they function, how they live outside of what I see that day, that matters too.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like it's one of those almost a truism, right? You know, like there's that joke that facts have an inherently liberal bias, and I feel like nursing is kind of akin to that. You're literally seeing the facts on the ground of what works and what doesn't work. And so you're formulating in your head like a system that could work where we treat people, you know, in advance and we make sure that everyone has their insulin because it's a relatively cheap drug when the prices aren't being jacked up. And if people just had it, it would prevent so much.
You know what's so crazy is when insulin was created, the guy that had made it had created it and he had sold the patent for like $1 because he wanted it to, and at that time that wasn't that much money even, but he wanted it to be affordable for people because he knew what life-saving properties it has. And they've taken that medication, something that was literally patented for a super low price. Sorry, kitty on my desk.
Oh, we love kitties on the desk.
We love kitties on desks.
You do not need to apologize for that.
I have my window cracked and I think he's just interested in it because he's trying to get outside in the snow. But yeah, insulin was created to help people, and that's why it was sold for a low price. And now they've pretty much marketed on making it unaffordable for most people, and that's why we have so many people come in with just
Right.
complications.
Somebody bought that patent and decided there was a bunch of money to be made and jacked the price up. And and Jonas Salk, when with polio vaccine, right? Like, there's not a massive Salk Pharmaceuticals right now worth trillions of dollars. It's because he came up with the cure for the vaccine for polio and made it widely available to everyone.
And now people are saying that they don't want to get the polio vaccine, which is one of the craziest things in the world. I mean, same thing with the measles epidemic. Like, we just had an in-service at work the other day. They're like, yeah, these are the symptoms of measles, by the way. And if you have anyone that has it, this is the protocol. And I'm just like, it's insane that we even have to learn this.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, pleurisy is going to be on the rebound or something. Fun fact, my grandfather went to high school with Jonas Salk.
That's
So
right. I keep forgetting that.
He's basically me. We're kin.
That's actually really cool.
I thought it was pretty cool too. And he was very dismissive about it when he told me all those years ago. And I was like, that's a really big deal, actually.
Like quit being so humble. Like, that is cool.
Right. That's legit cool. Or, Grandpa, are you jealous of Jonas? Like, was he your arch rival in high school?
Called him a nerd. I think he called him a nerd. And I was like,
that nerd's never going to amount to anything.
Right. What are you doing? I want to come back to this essay, and it really moved me. And when something happens like the atrocity and the tragedy with Alex this weekend, everyone has a think piece, an opinion. I wrote one last night that I'm probably publishing today. Yours really moved me, and I have questions for you about it, and I'm tempted to read a paragraph or two or ask you two of these short paragraphs to hear the meaning.
So it's not that long. I kind of because I was originally going to post this as a note, and I'm like, no, I think I should make this like an article so that it goes out to all my readers.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I can read a couple of pieces from it. So
I would love that.
Me too.
Essentially, I'm not going to read the whole thing just because I don't want to take up everyone's time. But I address start the letter as to Alex Shepard, pretty RN. And I say, we never shared a shift report in the early hours of the morning, and if we ever passed each other in the hallway or stood in line for coffee in wrinkled, mismatched scrubs, I wouldn't have known who you were. But I knew you. I knew you by the ache in your feet after 12 hours on the floor. I knew you by the weight you carried in your pocket and your heart, and I grieve for you because I know the cost of caring. And then I just go into really nurse-specific things that people don't typically understand. Like, we call it a nursing bladder because nurses are so bad at taking bathroom breaks because we're just so swamped and we get UTIs all the time. But that's that's like one of just those nursing things, like heavy feet, long shifts, being so tired you don't even have the capacity to even tolerate your family, which I know that sounds bad, but after a long day of just people constantly needing you, you just need peace. And it's just unique. And so, but nurses, I also go on to say, we're the keepers of the threshold. We were both intensive care nurses and have stood at the place where life bleeds into death again and again. And I'm very poetic, so I do apologize if this is too lyrical for anyone. But
no, don't ever apologize for your lyricism. It's beautiful.
Thank you. But I say, we both stood at the place where life bleeds into death again and again. We fought darkness with everything we had to push it back. We learned how to be steady while others fell apart, and we learned how to absorb grief quietly so the room could stay calm. And then I go on to say, it shatters me, it enrages me that a life dedicated to gentleness was met with such brutality. To see a man beaten nearly to death and finished off with several gunshots, a man who dedicated his life to others. It is betrayal beyond words that violence found you. You stood between strangers and death, and you deserved a world that protected you in return. You knew how to save others, but we couldn't save you from the darkness that was brought to your door. And I essentially say, you spent your life advocating for patients who couldn't speak for themselves, and now we must advocate for you. Nurses, patients, and citizens alike. We cannot let this slide into silence. We will not let your name become just another statistic in ICE brutality. We demand justice for all of your stolen years. We demand that the cowardly brutality visited upon you be answered with the full weight of the law. You stood up for your community, and now your community must stand up for you. You may not have been my coworker, but you are my kin. So rest easy now, Alex. Your work is done. We will take it from here.
I mean, it's making me cry again, Dissent. It's so well said. It's so beautiful. Yeah. I want it to be the pledge that I take, that all of us take, so that we can take this momentum and this moment and make a difference for Alex and for all of us.
And
it's really beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I do apologize if I read that fast. I am just trying to take too much of anyone's time, but I can share the link in the chat if anyone wants to
We've
read
already
it. You're
shared
more
it
than welcome.
multiple
Oh, thank
times.
you.
People have got it.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
must read it. Really, please.
Yeah.
If you haven't, please read it.
And Lawrence and I both shared it to we both restacked it right before the show, so you can find it on either of our walls. I love that we are keepers of the threshold.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's language I never thought about for nurses, but that's so true. The place where life bleeds into death, like again and again. I mean, it really this through your lyricism, you you help convey what a gentle, empathetic person Alex was by all reports, by everyone who's spoken out about him, and the immense compassion and just like the capacity to absorb that a nurse has to have,
Right.
especially an ICU nurse who is, you have a bad day at work. If I have a bad day at work, it's like, oh God, people are asking me to come on their deliverables, blah blah blah. He has a bad day at work. People are dying, and you as well. Like
Yeah, it's a
that's
very traumatic
yeah.
profession, I'll say. People don't realize the things that we do and say every day. Like a lot of people will only see like, oh, they bring pails, they bring ice water, and that's a good thing. If that's all you see of us, that is a good day. If you see less of us, that is a good day because that means you're not actively dying. They don't see us like fighting to keep someone alive, finding these like immediate deteriorations, these signs and symptoms, and just really working to try to keep people alive. And sometimes you can't. And then you also have like your hospice patients and helping people cross into the other side. And I'll never forget my first hospice patient. It was actually a very traumatic experience. I mean, the family
Mm.
was wonderful, but the woman, she just did not react well to the comfort meds. And hypoxia is a horrible thing to watch someone pass away from, but it was a very bad day for me. And that's what people don't see what nurses go through. We go through these experiences, we go through these things in our life, our day to day, and we just move on. Like the next day, we'll put someone in a body bag, and we'll have to go to the next room and hear someone complain because they didn't get their ice chips or whatever it may be. And I get it because hospital bills are expensive, and you're there, you're sick, you don't feel well, but it's not the nurse's fault. It's the corporation that owns the hospital's fault. They don't
Right.
give us enough staff.
Right. Yeah. We all need to come together around that concept. Like finally, that in all aspects of our lives in America right now, the things are crappy because corporations are extracting money and resources in every way they can, and they don't care if people suffer. And that's true in healthcare. Dr. Eric Lulov, I don't know if he's in the chat here. I think he's got patients right now, but he wrote a great article and said something when he was on our show that really clarified things for me for the first time, that healthcare is one of the few industries where there are actually three major industries that are trying to make a profit there, right? Like there are the big hospital corporations, there are the big insurance companies, and then there's big pharma. And all of those companies are coming together to try to get maximum profits.
Yeah, and right now it's a lot of it's private equity as well. One of the largest, I
Mhm.
actually wrote an article on this. One of the largest private equity mergers happened, I believe it was in 2005. Three large private equity companies merged together, and then that's when healthcare's obviously almost always been for profit, but that's when they really started to maximize profits. That's why you're paying $10 for a Tylenol. Most people don't know this. Nurses don't actually get paid for seeing you. Like we get paid, we're built into the room and board. We are not like a provider. You would get like a charge for seeing a provider. You would not get a charge for seeing a nurse. We are considered part of the room and board. That's so crazy. I mean, I'm not saying I want you to be charged more, but like for what they're charging people, it's just asinine. Like
Well, no, but
nurses should
it's an
get way
important
more.
point, right? Because if you're built into the ruined board, then that means all they see you as is a line item cost that they can squeeze as much as possible, right? Like the way
Because we're
that big
not
corporate,
we're not profitable for them. Like
right? You're
a
not a
doctor
profit
can,
center. You're an
yeah.
expense.
hmm
Yeah, yeah,
We
and
actually have cost centers on our badge. Like on the back of our badge, we have our cost center. It's insane to me. Like, oh, great, thanks.
yeah, yeah, and like I don't know, just like you go to a big restaurant chain, right? And every restaurant chain in the country has gotten shittier. I mean, I know this sounds disconnected and stupid in comparison, but the reason that every restaurant chain has gotten shittier is because there's one major corporation that's providing all of the fundamental foodstuffs that go into whatever Olive Garden is making or whatever. And it's all the same, and it's lower quality and higher cost. And
that's why monopolization was supposed to be a crime. Like, it's supposed to be a crime, but it seems they can get away with it when they find the right loopholes.
Right, exactly. Like, American corporations have become experts at finding loopholes in this, and healthcare is at the top of the list. And God,
and that's why, like, when it comes to professions that commit suicide, physicians and nurses are in the top 10 of people that commit suicide secondary to job stress. We actually had a nurse commit suicide at my hospital a while ago, a couple of years ago. Wow. And then it wasn't a suicide, but then I had another nurse pass away last year from a heart condition that was triggered because he was working 5 days a week, 12-hour shifts overnight, and it just put so much stress on his body. And he had 5 kids. He was 37 years old. And that's just what the stress of the job did to him, because he needed to make ends meet, because it was unrealistic to survive in this economy. And then they were putting ridiculous amounts of stress on him in all those shifts.
Oh my God.
My God, I'm so sorry for that. I
know.
Just feel like we're drowning in loss these days, honestly.
Yeah, it's just one thing after another. It's like everything that's good feels like it's going away. And I'm obviously not trying to let that happen or trying to become discouraged. It's easy to feel like you can become discouraged, but I think that's kind of what they want, right? They want everyone to feel so overwhelmed and like they can't do anything and there's no point, so just give up and let it happen. And I can't let that happen.
Oh, Dissent, what does justice look like to you beyond accountability for Alex's death, but just in general, both specific to Alex and in healthcare? Like, if you could rewrite, if you could have things go your way, what would you like to see happen?
So for Alex specifically, obviously I would want the people that were involved in his death, including the people in the administration like Kristi Noem and Gregory Bavino, who are trying to step down and hide now. I would like to see them all charged, very much Nuremberg style. I would like to see, honestly, this is going to maybe be too radical for some people, but the abolishment of ICE. ICE was formed in 2003. We have lived without it. We can do it again. Yep. It has been nothing but a terrorist organization under the guise of national security. That's their go-to, national security. That's why everyone that dissents now is a domestic terrorist.
Yeah. And welcome to the club, Domestic Terrorist Club.
Right. Yeah.
Daily whatever.
I'm just like, I wonder what my file looks like. I know.
Yeah, we sip tea and we chat and,
And for being a domestic terrorist, it feels like a lot of weight because all I want is my taxes to go to libraries, not war, but But and then as far as like nursing, what I would really like to see, I think a lot of nurses would like to see, is better staffing ratios. That's number one. That's one of the biggest things because we know we can't provide safe care with what they're expecting. Actual guaranteed breaks. Like, did you know that our lunch breaks are not guaranteed? We work 12-hour shifts. We get 30 minutes. And if we can't find someone to cover our lunch, we don't get our breaks. In California, they have a designated break nurse. That is not the case in most places.
Wow.
Do you just not eat then, or do you guys?
Yeah, you don't, like, sometimes you'll have stuff in your pockets and you can carry it around and snack. Right. I've even walked into a patient's room with a granola bar one time. I was that desperate.
Yeah, you go, grab a candy bar or something from the vending machine that's there, right? Which
we're not
last
allowed
time
to
I was.
Nurse's station. Yeah. So we can't have food or water at the nurse's station. It's a JACO violation. So it's like, when are we supposed to eat? When are we supposed to eat?
You can't eat at your desk.
Yeah, so they say it's a violation of like JACO health standards, but then what do we do at that point if you can't take a break to even pee or anything? Like, am I supposed to pee and eat at the same time? Like, I don't understand. Like, my 5 minutes that I get to use the restroom. So mandated breaks would be another one. Actual staffing, much better pay. Nurses don't make enough money for what's expected of them. Especially just considering, like, if you look at the wage inequality between what these hospital CEOs are bringing in versus like what they're paying their nursing staff, it may seem like nursing staff are making good money because sometimes they'll make between $20 and $40 an hour, which is more than the average person makes. But keep in mind, we go to college for a very long time and our job is very high stress. It's not like, it's a little bit different than someone that's like working in an office. And that's not to say that working in an office isn't a hard job or like you don't deserve more money as well. But there's it's a very high stakes job. And for the expectations and the the liability that comes with it, and the fact that nurses have been charged like criminally, like redundant out for mistakes that were made because they were under so much stress, it needs to be a higher paying job. And this would be my big three. Just treat us like people. Stop looking at us like we're an expense and just another like something you want to have less of. It just bothers me because we're humans, and without nurses, without nursing staff, and that includes CNAs, LPNs, RNs, these hospitals would fall apart. Like they literally could not function without us.
Right.
Of course they couldn't. Like this just it should be a great equalizer among humans. We have all relied on a nurse, at least probably many times in our lives. We've all had family members rely on nurses. There should be just an understanding that if nurses go down, we all go down with them. Like we rely on. We should be taking care of the professionals who we count on to take care of us at our moments of need. To me, I cannot understand why people, like everyone, can't unite around this. And the idea of a nurse not being as valuable as, say, a doctor in a hospital is like, have you ever been to a hospital? You see your doctor for maybe 30 seconds.
Right.
The nurse is the one there who is keeping you alive, and helping to bring you back to wellness. It's nuts to me. I $20 an hour to do nursing work is absurdly
Insane.
low. Absurdly low.
And
Even
that's
40
there
an
are
hour. Well, I live in
some
Seattle,
states
so
like that. There are many states like that where they really
Yeah.
don't make that much money. And be able to like imagine if there was really a national nurses strike and every nurse in the nation went on strike together. You know how many people would die? Like we wouldn't do that because we don't want people to die. And that's another thing. Like we're given very little leverage because it's like if we leave our jobs, if we step away and try to strike, there are strike nurses who we love strike nurses because they get money. We're not mad at you for working. We want people to stay alive, but we want these hospitals to have to pay more money to staff during these strikes because they're going to hurt more for it. Where
Right.
the goal isn't to harm anyone. We want people to be alive. We want people to be safe. And that's the biggest goal of all of these strikes and all these things.
Right. And it's a real catch-22, right? Because I think the point that you're making there is if nurses did actually all step away and strike, people would die. And then, the right wing, everyone would be like, these horrible, horrible nurses are killing people by stepping away
Right.
from the job. When actually you've got this enormous amount of power. Because if nurses did actually strike and there were consequences and people didn't make it, change would happen very quickly if people took it seriously. But, we know that the right wing would quickly jujitsu that into nurses are evil for letting people die.
Yeah, there's already this whole rhetoric around nurses that we're the mean girls from high school. That's a big thing I hear all the time because I guess some
seriously.
people, I guess some people saw like their childhood bullies become like mean girls. I've never been a mean girl. I was always the one bullied. I'm very awkward and I'm autistic, for anyone that doesn't know that. And so I've always been very awkward. I've also been hyper empathetic, and that's one of the reasons I became a nurse. But there's already so much hate and like disgusting things about nurses being spread on the internet. So they would 100% play into that and just try to demonize us. But that's society, right? Like if people realize their power, they would be able to stand up. Like same with nurses, if we left, everyone would be screwed. That's the same goes for you, the mailman, the baker, the Walmart cashier, the dentist. If everyone went on strike at once and this nation did not have everyone working, this economy and everything that functions about America would come to a complete halt. People don't recognize their power, and they don't realize there are so many more of us than there are of them.
Yeah, it's so true. And I wrote an article recently about the Alex Preddy killing and that the things that we could do in kind of a progressively escalating way, and getting into like sector strikes, like healthcare workers striking or a national strike, we really could shut down the economy. We really could demand massive change if we all did it at the same time. Imagine teachers striking, right? If every teacher in the country was on strike, nobody's kids would go to school. No one would be able to work because they'd be at home taking care of their kids who were supposed to be in school.
Yeah.
Like, each of these sectors has enormous, enormous power. And, the right wing has done an incredible job, honestly, of convincing us over the last 40 years that unionization is bad, and that labor coordinating together to affect real change in the world is somehow evil, more evil than the big corporations that are squeezing us all for profit. We really could, like you said, Dissent, if we all just pulled together and recognized our own power, we could make real change. It's just, yeah. And Yanni saying in the chat, longer than 40 years. It has been longer than 40. It's been a really long time
there's a saying that I've heard all the time at protests. Nothing about us without us. Like you can't make laws and things about humans and have these people govern us that aren't even caring for our well-being. People really said they need to recognize their power. Sector strikes would be huge. Like honestly, anything where people could just stand up, and that's you made me think of another point. One of the things that nurses have been targeted for actually is like nurse educators. And so we already have, well, I say the nursing shortage is manufactured, like it's actually hospitals doing this so they don't have to pay staff and something they push. But we do have a need for nurses, and we will always have a need for nurses. There's always going to be nurses leaving to retire and just move on and do different things with their life. But we also, so we'll always need new ones. And one of the things that have been targeted by the Trump administration is they are trying to stop nurses from getting graduate degrees. So that would be like your master's, your doctorates in nursing. And typically you could become a nurse practitioner, yes, but that's also where nursing educators come from. Those are where the people that are teaching these new nurses learn how to do so. Like I'm actually getting my master's in nursing education right now. And I'm going to, like, I've got, I was able to get financial aid for the first quarter, but it's like that's not guaranteed that I'll be able to continue getting that because they've targeted and they said nurses aren't a professional degree.
Yeah, so I was going to say, I just remembered kind of as we were leading up to that Dissent that last time you were on, you told us about how you want to be a nurse educator, and so you're getting your master's degree right now. So in addition to being an amazing writer and passionate dissenter and an former ICU nurse, current OBGYN nurse, you're also a student going for your master's degree. So when we say go subscribe to Dissent, please go subscribe and pay because she really deserves it.
Dissent, I have a question for you from a story you wrote. It was a week recap from a week or so ago, which feels like 1,000 years in Trump times. But you talk about, this is lightly related to the idea of striking. There have been many DOJ resignations recently around what's happened in Minneapolis. There were, I think, six folks who resigned rather than press or investigate Renee Good's wife. And your point is that the resignations make things worse, not better. What do you say to people who quit as a form of protest?
So think about it this way. If you're quitting, who's going to take your place? I'm not saying that you shouldn't have your principles and that you shouldn't follow those principles. And I know it's easier said than done. But staying in that position and fighting back as much as you can before they force you out is going to do a lot more than just stepping down and giving them the free for all. Quitting does not help anyone in that situation, especially where we have an active authoritarian takeover of our government. Being principled is one thing. Letting them take over and just laying down and taking it and complying is another.
It's a great point.
Yeah, I have wondered about that as well. I cheered when I was like, yeah, man, don't prosecute her. You're doing the right thing. And then I was like, but wait, if they actually leave, then they're just going to pop people in who will do exactly.
Which is what we saw with Letitia James, right? Like we had that person that wouldn't do it, and then someone stepped in that tried. Like that's exactly what they'll do. If you won't do it and you step down, they literally, this is going to sound crazy, but I swear everyone can look it up. Oracle teamed up with the Heritage Foundation to create a list of loyalists and people that they could put in these positions as they try to shrink the government, because they don't want a smaller government. They just want more people that they control. Too many heads means too much opposition. They literally have a database of loyalists to fill this administration with. They probably already knew who was going to replace Bavino and Nome before they ever took their spot. So it's just, people don't realize this has been years in the making. And I do apologize for any background noise. My kids are home. It's a snow day.
Totally fine. Did you hear my dog barking earlier? Yeah, it's a free-for-all on this show. We're all, it's kind of like early COVID when we were all working from home, except for you on the front lines of nursing when you had to go into the hospital because you're a hero.
Yeah, I actually worked in a nursing home at the time, and oh my gosh, it was so bad.
Oh shit. Oh my God. Did you have any outbreaks when you were there
Yeah,
of
we
COVID?
did have COVID outbreaks. We actually had like a whole COVID unit. It looked like something out of a zombie movie. They had like an entire plastic like tarp blocking off an entire ward where they would move all the COVID patients. It just felt very dystopian. It was very horrifying. And I worked with kids that were like disabled and had like ventilators and chronic health needs at the time. Like I worked in it was like a nursing home for those kind of people. It wasn't older people, it was disabled children and young adults.
Oh
And
God.
so it was just such a hard thing because we've seen so many of them die because they were already they had so many comorbid conditions. And that's what a lot of people don't realize when they've spread like bullshit and about like COVID, it's conspiracy. It didn't really happen. Like I tell you from the front lines, it absolutely happened. I caught the end of it because I thankfully was kind of out for a short bit because I had a baby around that time, but I came back just as it started to come down. And I saw not the worst of it. I saw the end of it, but even then it was terrible.
Yeah. Dissent,
I yeah.
as we kind of come to the top of the hour, I'm wondering, and I mean, I feel guilty for asking this because it's like, educate us even more. But what can we do to help? Like, what can we do to help our nursing community, our local nursing community? What is like maybe one thing that you're like, God, if people just knew this one thing, they could change it.
That nurses need more staffing and to advocate for your nurses to, and if I could ask anyone, even just something small, when you're in a hospital, be patient, be understanding. We are doing the best we can with what we have. And if people could advocate in their communities and help stand along us in the fight, then that would make all the difference. Honestly, we just need your support. We don't need your buddy. We don't need anything but your support and maybe a little bit of your time.
Yeah.
That is
Um,
yeah.
I know you mentioned earlier, or maybe Dana, you mentioned that the National Nursing Organization, I don't remember the name, issued a statement yesterday, and they really did not mince words. They talked about Alex Preddy's death as an execution, and they framed it in terms of, basically being they didn't say war crime, but basically something as egregious as that. Um, do you feel like does that give you any hope
It,
that maybe they're going to try to do a strike or pull some action, because of
I'm
Alex Preddy?
hopeful, but I've actually seen quite a bit of the nursing unions have been doing a bit. Like here in Ohio, there was a nurse that was strangled by a patient's boyfriend. It was just terrible. She lived, thankfully, but one of the nursing unions here actually stood up for her and like got the news involved and everything. And I was so shocked because I haven't seen anything like that before. The nursing unions haven't done much in the last few years, so that was amazing. And I'm hoping that we continue to see that kind of movement. I really do hope that nurses all stick together and can work to try to make a change because this is something that affects all of us. And it's just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It is remarkable to get your words from the front line. As a writer and a nurse, do you ever worry that there will be consequences at your nursing in your nursing world for what you write here on Substack?
It's something I've considered, but that's one of the reasons I write under a pseudonym. And I don't anything that I say or anything that I research, any opinions that I have are my own. They do not represent my employer or anything outside of me. I'm a
Mhm.
person outside of my job, and I would hope that my job wouldn't target me for that. And I don't think that they would. That's typically not their behavior. But if it were to happen, then I would just focus, honestly, try to focus full time on writing until I found something else because I'm a very well rounded nurse. So
I can't fathom that people wouldn't hire you. I mean, there are so many hardships with nursing, but I would hope one of the advantages is no matter where you go, they are hungry to hire you because um, I would think good nurses are hard to come by, especially with ones with experience like yours. You were getting so much love in the chat. I don't know if you were able to keep up with this very active live chat today, but everyone is weighing in with like, I love my nurse and stories of how nurses
yeah, I'm
saved
trying to like
their.
read some of it. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's just so much. Thank you guys all so much. Seriously, it means a lot. I don't normally get on and do talk shows very often, but it's always nice to just talk with people and share my perspectives outside of me annoying people with my very long articles.
We're
Your
so happy
articles are
you come on.
amazing.
They are.
I keep doing what you're doing. You're obviously building a really loyal following because your work is great.
I know. And boy, you get some really colorful haters. I'm in your chat as well on Substack, and sometimes you share the less flattering comments.
Yeah, and I actually was looking into that because I'm like, okay, why am I? Because obviously, everyone that has like any kind of political anything always gets some kind of hate. But
Especially
like
women.
yeah, I have like I do another show. It's called Pearl Pill. It's on YouTube, and I do that show. My male counterparts, they don't get nearly as much hate as I do, and I'm like, why am I being targeted so much? Like, what is it about women? And then I started really looking into it, and it's actually like an organized movement that they've been doing for some time to just
Yeah.
like target women. There's even like this like trad wives that are trying to convince women that they should be at home having babies, have no rights, just give everything up to a man. Capitalism's too hard. Just let your man take care of it. And it's just like, okay, when he leaves you for another woman, or he spends all your money and he's drunk and you're just pregnant, stuck with 9 kids like the 1950s, then what? Or there's also like the Groyper movement. There's so many different like just misogynistic movements, and it all plays back into just lifelong misogyny that's been going on for years, and that's one of the reasons that women get it so bad.
Yep, we do. That's so this is going to be a nice tie into my next question. One of my 2026 goals is to become more of a feminist killjoy online than I have been. And small daily whatever show announcement. In the coming weeks, Lawrence and I are each going to take a day of the week where we kind of branch off in our own interests. So one day a week, Lawrence will be on with co-hosts talking about kind of queer-related issues, and I will be on one day a week being a feminist killjoy, kind of becoming even louder and closer to the mic,
Right.
talking about like, you got something for women? Come at me. When that happens, I would love to have you on Dissent, and we can
I
pop off about
absolutely
being women on the internet,
would
because
not mind. Like that's one of the ways that my activism first started was
yeah,
actually feminism, like the radical idea that all people are human and should be treated equally, and
yeah.
equity and equality should exist. But yeah, no, I absolutely would love to do that. I love pissing off annoying alt right men. So
I will cheers you to that with my morning tea. What it's still January, so it's not really New Year's resolution time, but I feel like we're still sort of setting intent for the year. What are you hoping to accomplish on Substack or in the world in 2026? What will success look
so
like for Dissent?
the three big things I want to do. I'm not going to be done with my master's till next year, but I would like to continue on with that and just keep good grades. I would like to at least hit 20,000 followers or subscribers. I'm at 17,000 right now, so
Oh
20,000
yeah.
for the year. And then, as well as I own a nonprofit outside of my work here. It's focused on like substance use disorder and memorializing people who've died because of substance use disorder or incidental exposures. For those that don't know, my daughter's father actually died of an incidental drug overdose 2 years ago. And so I
Oh my
founded this
gosh.
nonprofit in his name. I give out Narcan in the community, and I also memorialize people. And I would like to do more events where I go and I just share people's posters and I give out Narcan, which is going to be difficult if they continue to cut Narcan funding, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
You also run a nonprofit? You
I
founded and run
do.
a nonprofit.
Yeah, I don't want to say the name
Dissent.
because I'd be doxing myself, but yes, I do own it's a 501c3 nonprofit. I give out Narcan in the communities. I've actually shared pictures just like that have the identifying information out, but yeah.
Oh my God, you are a force of nature. Like,
Honestly,
I'm
I
elevating
am
you
so
from
impressed.
to superhero status. That is
I think a lot of it's just neurodivergency because I have this like innate sense of justice sensitivity. Like I feel like I have an urge to make the world a better place and to make my community better. And maybe I'm overworking myself, and maybe it's a lot sometimes. But if I don't do it, who else is gonna? I mean, I would love people to do it with me, but I feel like I have to.
Yeah, no,
I,
I get that. Yeah, I mean, you said that you're, like hyper aware, right? Like hypersensitive. Like you and paired with kind of a sense of justice. Of course, you're doing a million things because you see every place that things are broken and, and you're smart enough to figure out how to fix them or know that they can be fixed.
My childhood experiences played a lot into that too. I grew up with two addict parents, And I grew up in a very poor neighborhood. I actually had a very difficult upbringing. And I think a lot of people would take that. I actually made a post the other day about how me and JD Vance almost had the same childhood. But the
I
only
saw that
difference
one.
is I became an activist and he became a billionaire's bootlicker.
Douchebag.
What do we think about the fourth kid? let's just lighten the mood up and gossip for a minute. This whole we're
Usha
pregnant
being.
again.
I was just like, oh, he didn't do it to a couch this time, or I'm surprised it's not Erica Kirk.
I honestly, I was like, okay, Usha. She's like, oh, Erica Kirk, you're coming for my man. I'm pregnant.
And you know what? I honestly think it's like, okay, don't try to be dark, but one of the things that JD promotes, I've actually been doing a huge investigation into JD, and it's going to sound crazy with the Catholic Church. Like, there's so many crazy connections. But one of the things that JD Vance promotes is pronatalism. And this is his way of trying to say, look, I can walk it and talk it at the same time. Like, it's him trying to promote pronatalism. And that's probably the only reason that they had a fourth kid. It's very Handmaid's Tale-esque. Like, look what your leader's doing. It's gross.
Right. Like, oh, look, we didn't stop at 2 or 3. We're having a fourth kid. We can keep going. Yeah.
Right. I'm a firm believer in when any person comes and says we're pregnant, the only correct response is congratulations as your first response. And also, wow, the number of things this pregnancy is signaling is off the charts, right? We were not expecting this. I mean, it's highly uncommon for a new baby to come along for a president or vice president. But we all watched a vampy blonde widow in pleather pants, like dry hump your husband
on stage.
Effectively.
Kirk is so sketchy. Like, and there's so many crazy links to her. Like, they covered it on Pearl. But there's like actual connections to her in Heritage Foundation. There's actual connections to her, and this is gonna sound like conspiracy, but I swear I could have my other co-host show you the proof. It's like Mossad and other like intelligence agencies. Like, there's something going on with her.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. And yeah, we all grieve in different ways.
She grieves with another man, but you know.
and just the like gleeful way she bounded onto the national stage, all perky and blonde and perfect. And
we're telling people that they should be at home with their kids, but she hasn't been home with her kids since her husband died.
Right. I am never one to tell women to just stay home with their kids. If there were ever a time when a mom needed to be home with their kids, it's immediately following them witnessing the gruesome assassination of their father. Like, my God, I hope I live long enough and that they are bright enough to write the tell-all novels.
I was just going to say, if I was writing this TV show, those kids would grow up to be like the liberal superheroes who are like, yeah, nah, my dad was murdered because he was an idiot, and my mom basically skipped out the moment he died, and
Or you know what's so crazy? It's like, think about it that way too. Like, you see in like these other countries, like they say like, oh, these extremists are developing because we killed their parents, but then that's kind of what they're doing here too. If you're killing people and taking their families away, what do you think's going to happen?
Yeah.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, I saw one final note, because I know we're at the top of the hour, but I did see something on Qasim Rashid's wall. He shared a tweet, because I refuse to call it X. He shared a tweet from the U.S. Holocaust Museum that they were outraged that that news media is comparing what's happening in Minneapolis and the fears these kids are having to Anne Frank and the Holocaust. And they were like, while we know what the situation is in Minneapolis, it's an insult to compare this to the Holocaust, especially while anti-Semitism is on the rise.
The Holocaust Museum said this?
Yes.
Fuck you, Holocaust Museum.
I mean, I think it was, I haven't verified that it was real, but Qasim Rashid posted it, restacked it, so I have to assume it is.
I mean, keep in mind, they were people, like a lot of these anti-Semitism groups were justifying Elon Musk doing the Roman salute too. It's because they're not actually anti-Semitic, they're Zionists. And a lot of people don't understand there's a difference between anti-Semitism and Zionism.
As a member of the tribe here, as a Jew for as far back as you can go, even though I'm not practicing, like, I'm offended that you're offended, National Holocaust Museum.
Right.
Of course,
There
people
was
are making the comparison. These
there was a
kids are
case.
being used as bait and kidnapped and hauled off to God knows where, whether it's a incarcerated or a concentration camp. Like the
Did you
childhood
see the
trauma.
video of those kids that were screaming on the AP? Like they had the mom. It was
No,
like a mom and kid concentration camp. It's the same place they took Liam, and this drone
no.
footage shows on the AP. Go on AP and look at it. There's drone footage of them screaming, "Let me out!" And it's mom and kids, and they're all color coded in a very Handmaid's Tale-esque thing. It's very disturbing. Um,
Oh my
as
God.
well as I made this comparison a while ago because do you guys remember the South Chicago raids that had happened?
Mm-hmm.
There was
Oh,
a
you mean
little,
like 2 months ago?
yeah, I know
Or
it feels like it's been 100 years,
it
but there was
does.
a little girl there who actually went and she had run with her mom because they were terrified and a man had to hide them in his house until they left. And you can look that story up from Google. It's very heartbreaking, and that was very much made me think of Anne Frank, like hiding people in your
Yes.
home from the fucking Gestapo.
I'm
Right.
already thinking about who would we hide. Oh, here I just found it, and it's a thread from Fox News, and it's even worse than I thought because it's in quotes. Fox News is saying deeply offensive. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz is facing pushback from the U.S. Holocaust Museum after suggesting children in Minnesota today are fearful in the same way Anne Frank was during the Holocaust. And then the actual, hold on, I have to blow this up a little bigger. The actual quote from the U.S. Holocaust Museum says, Anne Frank was targeted and murdered solely because she was Jewish. Leaders making false equivalencies to her experience for political purposes is never acceptable. Despite tensions in tensions, I'm just going to underline that word.
Right.
Despite tensions in Minneapolis, exploiting the Holocaust is deeply offensive, especially as anti-Semitism surges. The only thing offensive here is I mean, there's a lot that's offensive here, but U.S. Holocaust Museum, shame on you. Shame on you for not recognizing what's happening.
Yes.
Oh, that makes me crazy. Here, I'm going to
It
copy
is
the link and put it
absolutely
in the chat.
heartbreaking because we can all see what's happening, and it's not even like we don't have this knowledge. Like we had 1,500 people disappear from Alligator Alcatraz, or some people call it Alligator Auschwitz, because people are disappearing. Where ISIS had the deadliest year in, custody in forever, just last year, and this year we're already up to multiple deaths. Someone died on January 3rd. They told us it was a suicide. Their death was just ruled a homicide. Like
Right.
it's not an unrealistic comparison at all.
Yeah.
Right. I have friends in Minneapolis and I've been checking in with them. I would love to get one of them on the show, but I don't think none of them are on Substack and I don't think they're wanting to put themselves out there yet. But they're like, it's so freaky. Like there are abandoned cars all over, side of road, middle of road, gas stations. Like they are just taking people out of cars and disappearing them. What is that if not a direct comparison to the Holocaust? Like
Right.
that makes me
They're,
crazy.
like,
My trauma
people,
is worse than your trauma.
or they think people think they're safe because they're white or because they're Americans, but as we see with Renee Good and Alex Pretty, that's clearly not the case.
Right.
And if that's what they're doing in public, what are they doing that we can't see behind closed doors?
That is, it's such a not interesting, such a compelling and important point, right? That yeah, if this is what we're seeing in public, what else is going on? When we finally Nuremberg all these people, I think we are going to like rage vomit for years because we are going to discover atrocity on top of atrocity that is currently being committed.
Yeah,
And
Jason Odell in the comments says in caps, the entire fucking point was never again.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know what's crazy? If we actually had a lot of kids go missing during his first term too, like they just lost them, and those kids were never found. So it's just some people theorize that ISIS trafficking people. I'm not saying that's true or not true. I haven't looked into it, but that's one of the theories that I've heard. It's just very, very, very sad.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, now that we know that he's undoubtedly in the Epstein files and the magnitude of that, like kid trafficking ring that was happening, kids are disappearing under the Trump regime. What do you think is happening? It seems like they're probably being trafficked. Like it is absolutely fucking terrifying to realize the people that we have in control and the depths of their depravity and what they're what they're capable of, which is clearly anything and everything.
Them getting rid of Noam and getting rid of Bavino is it's just to try to save face.
Yeah.
They'll throw anyone under the bus. They don't care. None of them are safe. And I hope that everyone in the Trump administration, if anyone watches us or shares us, the one message I have is don't think you're safe. They'll throw you under the bus just like they did them.
Oh, for
None of
sure.
you are safe, and all of you will be held accountable. Even if you try to run and hide like Bovino, who is about to go into retirement, none of you are safe. He's going to throw all of you under the bus. That's all he's ever done. That's the kind of person he is.
Exactly.
I'm kind of surprised how many of them have made it to a year without being replaced. I mean, I think he knows he can't replace them because loyal is the only qualification.
Yep.
Right. That's why Pete
Loyal or
Hegseth
giving
is
money.
still at the
Yeah.
helm after the signal controversy, after all of it. Whew. All right. Well, I tried to lighten up the mood, you guys.
Yeah, it's hard. It's heavy stuff.
We're supposed to be a culture show, you guys. How can we get back to being a culture show when the world is on fire?
Tell me about it. I have a video game channel that I like to like sometimes play video games on. I'm like, I can't even do this without it feeling wrong. Like I have a paper I need to write, and I'm like, I can't cognitively process writing a paper when we're executing Americans in the street.
Yeah.
Due dates
It
seem
is-
like such an abstract term.
Yeah,
Like
it has
abstract
been
video.
really hard to write. I like to write memoir to be like, the world is burning down. No one cares about your little story, Dana. But keep writing. Keep doing your
Yeah,
papers.
that's another thing. I've had trouble like even
Yes.
with like writing on my Substack just because it's just been so overwhelming and just a constant barrage of information. And I
Yeah.
think that's the point, but it's also like people have seen me posting less. It's because I'm trying to adjust, I guess, to the just constant bad news.
Yeah. Well, on that happy note,
We're
we should probably
really grateful that you would take an entire
Yes.
hour plus to come hang out with us. It was so good to have you back, and
So
please
good.
keep writing, Dissent. Your words are so powerful and so necessary in this moment.
100%. And
Thank you. I'm not going anywhere unless if I disappear. Know that it was not my choice, and I'm not suicidal.
Yeah.
right, same here. Same here.
Same. Yeah.
Please, if we go away, that's what this is. None of us are suicidal. Don't ever believe it if someone says that we offed ourselves. It's crazy we have to say that out loud. Couple of notes before taking off. I'm going to be live again at 10 a.m. my time, so 1 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to be on the Halfway Cafe with Dash today.
Nice.
And things are so crazy, I've forgotten to like scream that from the rooftops. And then Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Here, Karen Marie Shelton and Oceana Teffenhart and I are going to have our what are we calling it? Our crone cocktail hour again, which is our little witchy. I don't even know what we're going to talk about, but it is a nice break from the world. Maybe we'll cast some spells. I don't know how to cast spells, but I think the two of them do.
I remember my mom used to print like web pages on how to cast spells when I was a kid. And I was like, Mom, what is this?
Oh my
The recent
gosh.
IU football game inspired an entire family chat thread in my family on Etsy witches, which apparently are a real thing. You can go to Etsy and hire a witch.
Yeah, and get spells.
And get spells. Yep.
I think that completely makes sense in these troubled, weird modern times. That makes complete sense to me. I like to keep mine a little closer. So Oceana, Karen, watch out.
All right, everybody.
She's an astrologer.
Thank you, Dissent. So good to see you. Take care. Yeah. Take care of yourself. We need you.
That is something I've definitely been trying to do more of. I actually spent my whole day yesterday organizing and cleaning my house just for like mental health reasons. And
yeah, nice.
I'm so sore today. So
Oh my God, girl, literally me today. You should see the laundry pile.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Love you, mean it, everybody.
Love
Bye.
you, mean it. Bye.